I'm here to talk to you again about making a foam brim for your bicycle helmet. You may have seen my first video on this and my first attempt. If you're really into this, you may want to watch that first one. But we're working on another project today. This is going to be a more advanced brim for a bike helmet. It's going to be bigger, we hope, and better in the sense that it will be removable. And so this is the foam brim that I made in my earlier video. I've cut it off of my helmet because I wasn't very happy with it. You can see it's, well, maybe you can't see, but it's very uneven. The surface of the foam got eaten away by the paint that I used. I used the wrong type of paint. I've peeled away most of the paint now. So this is my new helmet that I'm going to be attaching the new foam brim to. And this is my foam. Picked this up at Home Depot actually. And there's the label. Foamular is what it's called. It's a 1-inch foam material. My old brim was 16 inches, and I didn't feel like that was quite big enough. So I'm going to make this 18 inches. My new brim is going to be even bigger. And that's going to be good for keeping the sun off and hopefully keeping the rain and snow out of my face if I'm out there in inclement weather. The problem with the bigger brim is it's a bigger target for the wind, and that can be a concern. You know, it's going to slow you down. You know, it might twist your head a little bit. Hopefully, it's not going to knock you off your bike or knock you into traffic. But anyway, we're going to try it and hope it works. 18 inches is our goal here, and this is going to be hopefully a removable brim, so that if I'm riding at night, I can take it off. I don't have to go everywhere with this on my helmet. I'm going to turn on my hot wire foam cutter, and I'm going to see if it's working, see if it's cutting today. And it is. So we just want to cut these corners off. This will make the process of making the circle much easier. I've started my circle. I've got my nail at my center point coming up here to hold this foam, and I'm going to turn my hot wire back on here and gradually continue to turn my disc, and we're going to try to get an 18-inch circle. I've got a piece of cardboard which looks like it'll work really well, and we're going to take that and we're going to wrap it around here, wrap it around the helmet, make sure it's as tight as you can get it, okay? And then you want to mark your cardboard or paper or whatever you're using, and make a little line so we know where to cut. And then we're just going to make a loop like that. And we're going to take some tape. See if I can do this with just two hands. And then we're going to put our cardboard on top of our helmet. We might want to take some measurements. So for instance, that looks like about 3.5 inches to the front there. And in the back, it's about 3 inches. So it's a little less in the back. If we press on this cardboard, it might actually leave an indent in the foam. But just to be safe, I'm going to run my pen around here. Now, there's another way to make this mark if you don't want to be working with your cardboard loop. If you don't want to go to all that trouble, you don't have a piece of cardboard handy, or you could take this outside on a sunny day and kind of prop it up so that it's facing the sun as straight as you can, and then set your helmet on it and use the shadow from the sun as your guide to make your mark. You're going to want this brim to sort of clamp on your helmet, and so you want it to have a little bit of adjustability. So to do that, we're going to have to cut out a little bit of a space, and so I've drawn a couple of lines here, about 1/8 of an inch apart, and that will be our space. So let's go ahead and cut that first, and we're kind of doing this freehand, and that's going to make it challenging. It's very tricky to get a really straight line when you're cutting freehand. So we're just going to try to go slow, and it's not going to be perfect. There it is. Try it from the bottom here. It's kind of tight, a little bit tighter than I would like. In fact, I think I'm going to have to go back around with my cutter and make my hole just a hair bigger. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try to make a guide using a piece of cardboard, and I'm hoping this will help me to make a smoother cut when I go back. I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to poke a hole here. So I've done quite a bit of trimming on this to try to get it so that it fits nicely over my helmet. And now I'm going to attach this over my foam here. I'm going to take some push pins, put them in around the edges here. And it's just trimming a hair of the foam with this cardboard here, you can see. I've cut my circle a little bigger, it's a little smoother, and it's a little too big in some places now. So, you know, live and learn. We're going back and forth on this. But I've marked the places with a marker where I think it's a little bit, where there's a little bit too much space. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some weather stripping. I have some weather stripping, and this stuff is only sticky on one side over here. Just kind of center it, and that's going to fill in that gap and help the brim to be nice and snug around the helmet. So I'm gonna do that wherever I've made a little mark with my weather stripping. So this time I'm going to wrap it with tape. I have this blue tape that I'm going to try to use and see how that works. This is silicone tape, and it's called rescue tape. It's self-fusing, so it adheres to itself. I got to peel the backing off. I got to hold it in place with one finger. Bring it around the bottom and try to overlap it to itself, but not too much and not too little. It's the overlap where it's going to start to adhere to itself. I ran out of rescue tape, and I'm not sure that rescue tape is really the best option. It looks nice because it's so stretchy. It has a nice way of conforming to the shape of the brim. But the downside, one of the downsides, is that I can see that it's really collecting dust from the table, and so then I'm going to have to constantly be wiping off dust with a damp cloth or something. The other thing about this rescue tape is it's not cheap. You're probably going to pay $10 or so for a roll, and I've used one roll here, and I'm guessing that I probably need at least 3 more rolls, maybe 4, to finish the job. We got some new tape, and I've put it on. It's a little bit darker, and this is vinyl tape. So it's not as flexible as the silicone tape, and there's a few little wrinkles in my taping job, especially on this side, but it's not too bad. It's much lighter than the silicone tape over here. I'm going to just cut the silicone tape off. I've decided it's not really what I need. Let's go ahead and cut this silicone tape off, because this is not gonna. So we're just gonna cut that right off, and it just comes off real nice. But you can see it's nicely bonded to itself. So this stuff is great for doing all kinds of household repairs. If you've got a leaky pipe, you can sometimes wrap it around there, or maybe a electric cord that needs some tape. Works for all kinds of stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and wrap some more of this tape on here. This is the vinyl tape. To get started, we've got to peel this white paper backing off a little bit, and then it's kind of tricky. You want to start it maybe on the inside here, like this, and then you're just wrapping it around. You want to try to make it as smooth as you can. You're going to have just a little bit of overlap at the outside edge here, and I'm going to try to make it nice and smooth. And then as we come back in towards the inside, we're going to have a little bit more overlap, maybe 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. So I've got my foam brim completely covered with tape. It's pretty smooth, except there's a few little places where I have some wrinkles. It's still a little loose, even when I press it tight like this. When I kind of seal up this end of it, I feel like it's not going to hold up in the wind, it's going to fall off. So we need to try to add some features that are going to make it hold tight to the helmet. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is I've got this blue strap, and I've attached a buckle to it. Actually, I'm going to go the other way. What I decided here is that I needed a different system to clamp this tight, pull this tight. So what I've got here is a buckle, and I've sewn on the webbing. This is some blue webbing, 5 feet of blue webbing, and it just buckles like that. It's still difficult to pull it tight here. But what you can do is you can unbuckle it and tighten it a little bit, and then rebuckle it. We don't want our strap to come loose from our brim, so I've made up some pieces of tape. These are little pieces of tape about 5 inches or so long, and they have a piece of tape that goes the opposite way in the middle that's maybe 1 inch or a little more, 1.5 inches. So these will help us to keep this from falling off, keep this webbing from falling off. So we're just going to put that on the edge there. Not too tight, right? We just want it to stay in place. And we don't want to interfere with the ability to tighten that webbing. So I've got 5 of these, and I'm going to put one on either side, and so this one can go here. So I've got my webbing all attached here with my little tape loops to hold it in place. And the webbing is going to help to protect the edge from damage. So that'll be nice. And I've got my buckle here in the back so that I can detach it easily and quickly if I need to. And then I've got this glue here. This is silicone glue for general household repairs. It says waterproof and airtight. And I'm going to put on a glove here. And that's going to add a little bit of thickness. I've got my brim clamped on. This is the seam back here, and this is my buckle to help me clamp it on. And it feels pretty secure, like it's not going to move or fall off. You know, I'm going to want to monitor that. Every time before I go out, I'm going to kind of want to check it, make sure it feels secure. You know, the great danger with this is in a gust of wind or going down a hill when you get some speed. If this should come down over your face, you could be temporarily blinded. You know, it's going to block your vision. Now, there are several options for securing the brim more tightly. You could put some more tape on it and just kind of tape it onto your helmet. Another option is caulk. Caulk comes in a lot of different colors. You can order it online in blue. Most hardware stores are not going to carry blue caulk, I've discovered. But if you caulk it, then it's more or less a permanent addition to your helmet. But one of the nice things about caulk, if you were to go around here and caulk the seam, is if you're riding out in the rain, then the rain is much less likely to be coming into your face and your head, and is less likely to be getting quite so wet. Of course, you know, with this kind of helmet, you're going to get rain through the holes anyway, so I'm thinking my brim is almost finished here. The one thing that I'm going to do, since I happen to have some, is I'm going to put some little pieces of blue reflective tape on my helmet as a kind of final decoration. So I'm going to put that like right here on the vinyl tape that holds my webbing in place. Just a few little pieces. And then I might put a few more pieces actually on the helmet itself, just to kind of decorate it. If you're worried that your brim is going to come down over your face while you're riding, or when it gets really windy, one other option, if you don't want to tape it or caulk it or glue it, is to take some weather stripping. I've got some here. You could take some weather stripping and you could just put a layer of it on your helmet, especially at the front, like right along here. And you go all the way around the front. And that way the brim is less likely to come down over your face because it's going to bump up against your weather stripping.